I'm Crimbo the Clown, and I'm LA's top urban legends guru.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Who you are and what you do.
I'm Michael Perrick, and I'm a performer and a clown. I'm Crimbo the Clown.
When did you decide to become a clown? What was it like growing up as a child?
I had a very different upbringing than I would say most people do. My family is pretty much all based here in LA. My dad's originally from New York. Came here during high school, met my mom. My father was a hippie, founder of the Peace and Freedom Party here in LA, and a real radical Jew. He, in a lot of ways, was a member of the JDL without actually being a member. My mother had a serious personality defect. She was a floral designer. She was an interior designer, and mostly growing up, she was a cocaine and drug dealer. Yeah, while maintaining a very upper middle class business as well. What made me want to be a clown? I think that's interesting because I don't think I ever really. As a child, I always loved clowns. I always loved comedy. I loved physical comedy, and I loved the whole persona of a clown because I remember as a child being able to be behind a mask, during Halloween and stuff, and I used to just revel in the ability to do just whatever you wanted. You could become this other character. And I was always a ham. I was always making up voices, and I had no problem jumping on stage and acting like an absolute fool. I loved making people laugh. And the whole clown thing didn't actually come about till about 20 years ago. And that's when, because I'm 47 now, so about 27, 28 is when I was part of a group called the Cacophony Society. And we were doing tons of different performances, like we would just have a day where we would get together as a group, like on a Friday afternoon, and then go to a building downtown and randomly walk into offices and say, hey, we're here for John's birthday. And we're all dressed up in wacky costumes, and people are like, oh, they're in a board meeting. Oh, and we just burst into a board meeting and start performing for these people, and they're like, why are you here? And says, well, we're here for John's birthday. There's no one here with birthday. And we go, oh, isn't this the 4th floor of the so-and-so company? Oh no, this is the 5th floor. Oh, we're so sorry. And we go to another floor. We would actually be able to do 5 or 6 different offices till eventually get thrown out of the building.
Flash mob.
Exactly. We were a performance art group that would just do wacky stuff. And then the clown thing started to kind of come about, the idea of becoming clown. So I thought, wow, this is a real opportunity for me to do something different. And what I had is a pair of pants, a pair of clown pants jester's pants that I had bought at a friend's yard sale. And I said, I've been wanting to wear these somewhere. So I created the character, and my first character was Fucko the Clown. And and after that I just loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Do you have an incident including a clown that you can remember in your childhood?
Oh yes. I've had several of them. I've had several introductions with clowns and experiences with clowns when I was a child. The first one I actually thought was so funny is when I was a kid, my dad used to take us to Barnum and Bailey all the time. And I was obsessed with Meshack. Meshack was at the time the smallest man in the world. He traveled, I was obsessed with him. So one day, it's after the show, my dad says, do you want to meet Meshack? And my brother and I were like, yes. So he had snuck us behind the curtain into the trailers where all the actual performers live. And we were walking down, and as we're walking down the aisle of trailers, I see some clowns walking into their trailer, and I'm like, oh my God, I get to see the real clowns. And as we're walking by the trailer, I hear one of the clowns say to the other clown, if one more kid throws his drink at me, I'm gonna just go nuts on the little shit. And for some reason, you'd think that that would scare me as a kid, but for some reason, I thought it was so funny. I just couldn't stop laughing that a clown is striking back. A clown is a person. He's not just this amorphous person thing that performs for you. He's actually a person. And for that, I don't know why, it just really stuck in my head. And I never got to see Meshack, but that really hit me. And the other time was actually with Vincent Price. Vincent Price used to sponsor a lot of children's theater in Los Angeles. So my dad used to take us to some of these events, and sometimes they'd be held in big theaters. Mostly they were held in just school auditoriums. And Vincent Price was actually playing one of the characters, and he was kind of a clown, more like a Pagliacci kind of clown character. And I remember coming out of the theater, and I went to him, and I was obsessed with werewolves and horror movies, and I said, I always wanted to be a werewolf, Mr. Price. And he goes, and I bet you're a very fierce one. And then he leaned down and he goes, but clowns make people laugh. And after that, I've always had a very positive view of clowns. I love being completely free to do what I want. And this is just in normal clothes as a normal person, I can't walk up to an attractive lady and say, wow, you have a great rack. I get slapped. But as a clown, you can say that and more. You can say just about anything. It's this amazing freedom to entertain people and not be you. What's most difficult about being a clown? And the most difficult thing about being a clown is having to deal with people's fear of clowns, because there are a lot. I will be walking on the street and people will actually run from me screaming. And I have to say that, in some way I take a great joy in that. And in other ways, it's a difficult thing to deal with.
Do you ever feel discriminated against?
Yes, there is a definite discrimination of clowns, and not only from just people that aren't clowns, such as the general public, but from clowns themselves. There's a great prejudice of clowns within the clown community. But I've actually there are hotels, because I do a walking tour of downtown Los Angeles. Excuse me. I do a walking tour of downtown Los Angeles, and a lot of the stops and stories are in hotels, such as the Alexandria and a few others. They don't want a clown to be associated with the hotel. So I'm not allowed to walk in the lobby of the hotel. So I have to let my tour walk in the lobby, and I stand outside.
How did they impart that information to you?
They imparted the information to me like this. I'm standing on the corner talking, and my tour is going into the hotel. The hotel manager would come out and say, excuse me, can I talk to you for a minute? And pull me outside and say, look, we are trying very hard to create an image for our establishment, and even though we respect the fact that you do these tours and crime tours and all that, we don't think that your image is respectful enough of our establishment. And even though you can have your tour come in and they can look around, we just don't want your clown character to be associated with our hotel.
And your response is what?
Well, my response is, you're kidding me, right? I mean, this is a joke. And they're like, oh, no, it's not a joke. We do have the right to refuse entrance and service to anyone. And I said, well, all right, fine. And because I want to keep a good relation with these people, because I am making money from their establishment in a sense. So I usually say fine, and I let my tour go in. In the long run, it worked out because it gives me a little time to restructure my next part of the tour, but at the same time, I would still like to be able to enter these hotels and walk people around. And no, I usually a reaction I get from, let's say, someone on the street or a regular person who's afraid of clowns is usually something like this. I'm not kidding. It's like that, or don't come near me. I don't like clowns. I don't like clowns. And it's always, why don't you like clowns? Well, I saw it as a little kid, and it scared the crap out of me. And I'm like, oh, come on, you know.
So what have they done to you physically?
I've had people spit on me. I've had people throw rocks at me. I had somebody hit me with a cane once. I had a woman throw a sandwich at me. She had just like started biting into the sandwich, and I went up and go, "How you doing?" Right in the face. Yeah, I'm like, whoa. And I've had screaming. I've actually had somebody, and get this, this is I think one of the weirdest ones. I actually had someone so angry, so freaked out that me even being in the room, I wasn't even near them, that they went to the management and told the management they wanted me removed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you familiar with coulrophobia?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I am aware of coulrophobia, the fear of clowns. I know that there hasn't been much study done of it, and so I was actually part of a psychological study for that at CSUN.
Well, the number that is published is 12% of the public. Do you think that's accurate?
Oh yes, I actually think that it's actually higher. And it's because of my experience. I would say a good 1 out of 10 people I meet has a fear of clowns. The way clowns are depicted in culture, I mean, there's a lot of positive ones and a lot of negative ones, but I would have to say that the majority is negative, and it's even from commercials. I mean, look, there's a Dairy Queen commercial. That Dairy Queen commercial where the weird clown in the woods, whether it's that seems to be Pennywise seems to be the poster child for fear of clowns, for people's fears. I actually think it's quite negative. Not that it actually really bothers me, because I do find the idea of scary clowns funny in a lot of ways, but at the same time, why does that scare people so much? Is the media irresponsible?
Media irresponsible for
yeah, that's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. So, like, is the media irresponsible for sensationalizing people who use the clown image to scare people? That's a loaded question, because then you say, oh, is freedom of the press, they're allowed to do anything, and I think that most news is going to go where they can actually get a story and make money, and people who are scaring other people, even if they're dressed as dogs, they're going to do. So I don't actually say that they would be irresponsible, because they are just telling the story. Whether it's worthy news or not is, I think, the better question. or the better. And I say no, because people are going to do it no matter what. People go out dressed as dogs and do it. People are going to go out dressed as, a devil and do it. It's not necessarily a clown. It's just become a very easy outfit, let's put it that way, to do something like that. But I think that it's very easy. Where I would say clowns are a very easy subject to sensationalize. Because also I think that there's a stigma. There's definitely a stigma of people, from people, of why would someone want to be a clown anyway? And I think in that respect, people just think it's okay to, they're obviously a weird person, so I'm going to treat them weirdly.
What's the answer to your question? The question was, why would someone want to be a clown anyway? What's the answer to that?
Well, I don't know. The answer for me is people who like to entertain. I mean, I love to make people laugh. I like blowing balloons. I like putting on makeup. I like being this other character, this other persona. It's very freeing, and psychologically, it's seriously helped me out in my life. Yeah, I would say that it's allowed me to experience things and come to terms with issues, especially childhood issues. Mommy issues. Everyone has mommy issues. Yeah. So, it's interesting. Growing up, my mother was not encouraging at all with anything. My artwork, my wanting to perform, anything. She never came to anything. She never encouraged me. My father was the opposite. He completely encouraged me. Really, he really tried to encourage my humor and jokes and understanding of humor. He'd introduced me to all sorts of stuff, and even though my father became very sick psychologically later on in life, but he was a much better parent in that way. So why would someone want to be a clown? It's because they just want to be an entertainer. It's the same as being an actor, same as being a car driver. That just happens to be a passion. And but I think it's gained a stigma in society that has allowed prejudice. Well, I've been doing the clown character for about 20 years. I've been doing Crimbo for about 11. And I thoroughly intend to do Crimbo for as long as I can. I love doing the character. People love the character. And I will have to say something. I do get a lot of, I'm normally afraid of clowns, but after spending 5 minutes with you, I'm totally okay with you. And I'll ask them, why? Why is that? And they go, because you're more like a grouchy, dirty uncle than you are this clown. And I think that's another thing. I think people, because of media and because of the fact that everything is documented, people become very wary of child abduction. They become very wary of all these types of things. And the clown, the actual child performer clown, has really been pulled into that circle because of just a few bad eggs. I mean, look, if some guy didn't kill people and eat people, and if he wasn't a clown, suppose he was a taxi driver or he performed as a cowboy, somebody that probably would not have been pulled into it, because the clown, the character, is a much easier thing to vilify than a cowboy. So it just got stuck in people's craw, and so therefore it's become almost okay to hate the clown or to do that, to put those images on it.
What else would you like to share with us?
I'd like to share the fact that, as and no performer should be subjected to intense ridicule for just being that performer. Sure, you know, if you're an asshole, you say stupid things, go ahead, open season. But just being the character, being that person, and you should not be taking out your frustrations, your own personal problems against them. I don't know why people feel like they are justified in acting that way towards me. I mean, if I was someone of color or something, you certainly wouldn't be justified in acting that way against me. So why do you feel justified doing it when I'm in makeup? I was raised very radically, you know, from my dad in a very radical Jewish way, and to be aware of prejudice and anti-Semitic stuff. And in that way, I almost feel, it's a horrible thing to say, but yet I feel it, is that I sometimes feel like that vilified Jew. You know, it's like, we don't want you in here. We don't like your kind in here. And it's like, I'm just a guy in makeup. You know, it's all I want to do is blow balloons, crack dirty jokes. That's all I care about. Yet people have placed these images upon me as this something else I'm not. I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna somehow steal your child, and you know, it's very odd.
Well, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for sharing everything with us. And we look forward to doing one of your tours.
Please, anytime.
Thank you very much.